computer. All right, we are live and it's recording. Thank you, Miss Courtney, for being a guest speaker in our group here with DTF Journey. Miss Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do.
So I appreciate the opportunity, for you reaching out to me. This is absolutely my passion. I love to do this kind of stuff. I am a personal and business coach. I have helped over 1,000 people start businesses. I've started 3 on my own. And I'm just really passionate about teaching people the information that they don't teach us in school, right? I have so many people, and I've been there before, where I started a business and had no clue what to do because they don't give us that information, right? That's not something they're teaching our kids now. It's not something we were taught. So I just really am passionate about helping people, get this information because it truly can be life-changing if you use it for the right way, right? I used it and got out of 9 to 5. I will never go back to a 9 to 5 again. And I absolutely love, owning my time and doing what I love to do. And that changes as well because I have multiple streams of income. Which I think is important for people to have as well, especially in these times. Even if you have a 9 to 5, starting something like this on the side, getting it started is an awesome thing because it just keeps, that stream of income coming in. So a little bit about how I started. I originally started with an online boutique, and then I got into the trucking business. And that was really when I started getting into the whole business foundation and funding and things like that, because I needed, stuff for the trucking. And that was kind of really when I got to the point where I started learning stuff that I'm like, wow, they do not teach us this, right? And I bet a whole bunch of people don't know this. So, I started teaching people that. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. And my funding at this point for total clients is about 1.6 million. So I'm really happy, proud of that number, because it's, like I said, it's life changing. I've literally watched people from Section 8, right, and open up to building their own home, I do business and I do personal credit. So I help people on the financial side on personal as well. I think that it's really key as business owners for us to have both of that knowledge. Because at some point, depending on what you want to do, your personal credit is going to play a part into that. But, even if you weren't going to use that funding, I'm still a big, advocate for people to have it good on both sides, right? Because then that just opens opportunities for you everywhere. So I help people on a personal level as well. Mom of 3 boys. They keep me pretty busy, but I love, like I said, the fact that I can own my own time, do what I need to with them, and I'm not bound by a time clock or something like that. So that's really what I'm passionate about doing, is helping people get out of the 9 to 5. It's really easy to do once you have a set plan, right? And I love being a mentor and helping people through that journey because there's so many mistakes that I made along the way. And by having somebody there by your side, it kind of helps you to not go through that, right? I'm going to make sure you don't go through the stuff that I did, which is going to save you time and money, and a whole bunch of frustration, right? So I've learned things as I go, and I'm still learning things, I think we all do. And so even now I'll reach out to clients and say, we need to switch this, or guess what I just learned, we need to do this. So, I just love doing what I do, and I'm really excited that you guys invited me on today. I'm happy to be here tonight.
Thank you so much for, putting us in your time. Just a little bit about the group. We are a community of pretty much of designers, t-shirt makers. Some do it for hobby, some do it for, their business. Some are doing their business kind of like a hobby, which is probably where you're going to kick in tonight.
Right.
And make sure you separate all that, so, and I think this is, my thing about this is that, well, there's my husband.
Hello.
But, very similar to your belief is that I want to help people elevate their printing game, their t-shirt game, I use Adobe Photoshop, so it'd be like helping them learn the design programs, anything to help elevate them. And I do this like out of pureness of my heart,
Right. Right.
there's God, I pick up my phone and there's dings all on it, and then I'm like just answering texts sometimes at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So, and I understand because people are all, this is a worldwide thing and it's amazing and I love being a part of it. So, and I think I reached out to you mainly because, like I said, people should be careful of how they set up their businesses and knowing the proper way to do this. So
Right.
for that, so we'll go ahead and get started and, teach us your ways.
Yeah, and like you said, I really would encourage you guys to really do a mindset check, right? Because it is a mindset of how you think about your business, right? Because it's very easy to continue to think about it as a side hustle or something that you're doing on the side while you're running your 9 to 5. But when you think that way, you limit yourself. So regardless if you're running your business as a 9 to 5 or as a side hustle, right? We want to treat our business as a full-time business. And we need to have the mindset of that as well, because then it helps us make right decisions and things as far as what to do for our business, other than just treating it kind of like, it's just a side thing, right? So I do piggyback definitely off of what Erica said. If you guys are not running your business as a legitimate business, I encourage you to set it up that way. Number one, if you want any kind of business funding, you're going to have to do that. No, there's very few vendors and almost no lenders, not almost, I don't know of any, that will fund a sole proprietor, right? The second reason why you want to do it is because it will separate your personal from your business, right? It takes the liability out of it. It separates it financially, so that anything happens to your business. And it's very common for people, especially in a side hustle type situation, right? They don't really think, well, what could happen to me, right? But there's so many things, that somebody can sue you for something your business did, right? For whatever reason. And there's crazy stuff that happens, you guys. So they could be mad at the design that you did and turn around and sue your business. And if you're a sole proprietor, guess what? They're coming after your house, they're coming after your car, they're coming after everything that's linked in your personal name. So it's really crucial that you guys separate it. Let me get to my notes. Sorry, my phone keeps changing. The structure of your business is going to be really important as well for your brand as well, because it makes you look, legit to not only the lenders, right? That's our goal from a business credits perspective, is to set your business up perfect on paper so that it looks good to lenders, right? But it's also going to help your brand grow. People are going to trust you more. It's going to make you look more professional to clients and customers and things like that. So it can only help you to set your business up, professionally. So I want to go through some steps that I talk about, and I call these the steps of your foundation. And they're really key. Some of them seem very, very simple, but every step on here has a purpose. So I encourage you not to skip any steps. They do matter, especially, like I said, if you want to get into kind of business funding. And that all depends on what kind of business funding you want. Some of them are less, some kind of funding you're not going to need as much qualifications for than larger funding. So it just all depends on that aspect. But this is a way to set your business up so that you can get anything that you would want for your business funding wise. So that's credit, loans, or grants. This is how they're going to want to see your business set up. So the first thing I always talk about is a business name. And a lot of people think, well, yeah, that's the first thing you do when you start a business is choose a name, right? And it is, but a lot of people don't put the thought into it like they need to. Your business name is going to be with you for a long time, right? So you want to make sure it is a clear depiction of your brand, right? It talks about your brand personality. It has a clear picture of what kind of viewpoint and what you want people to think about your brand when they first see it, right? So make sure that you're choosing one that's, gonna stick with you. That way you're not in a situation, and it's okay if you get there. I've had businesses do this before where they go through rebranding and they change their name, and sometimes it's more beneficial for them to do that. But it is a pain to do it. So if you don't have to, right, spend the time at the beginning to really think about the name. The other thing you need to do is you need to search the name on your Secretary of State website. Because depending on what state you're in, number one, some states require you to do what's called a name reservation, which means you have to reserve the name before you can actually file for your business. Not all states require that, but some do, so you'll want to check. The other thing is, though, is that if you go to register your business and somebody else has that name, you can't register your business. So this happens all the time, you guys. I have tons of clients that come to me. They've already done marketing material, right? They already have this awesome logo, cards, t-shirts, everything, right? But they never check the name, and then we go to file and we have to change everything. So make sure you check the name before you start. Hold on real quick. It's like chilly right here. So let me grab a sweater because I feel like I'm shivering. Sorry, guys. Okay. So number one is the name. The next thing you're going to want to do is get a business address. Now, this is a really sticky topic, especially for people that are in your industry, because you guys work from your house, right? Majority of you do this stuff out of your home. However, again, we are all about making your business look fundable to lenders, right? And residential addresses do not look fundable. They do not make your business look credible. So I really encourage you to get a virtual office. There's a difference between a virtual address and a virtual office, so be careful with that. A virtual address provider is just going to give you a basic address, right? It's probably going to be a PO box, and it's also going to be an address that they're going to give to everybody else. A virtual office provider is going to give you that address with your own suite, and then they're also going to make sure that they give you services that you would typically find in an office. So live receptionist, faxing, mail forwarding, email, stuff like that, okay? There's a few people that I recommend, or companies. Opus is a good one. It's OPUS. They are the ones that I prefer because they offer the best bang for your buck. If you want to do all of these steps, you're going to be able to get about 3 or 4 items off of this checklist just from them, instead of having to pay for that separately. The other ones you can use, but they come out to be more if you do get everything that Opus offers. So just keep that in mind. But Alliance is a good one as well, and that's ALLIANCE. And Erica, I'll send you some links too that you can post in your group so they have them. And then Regis is a good one as well. But whatever you guys do, whoever you choose, when you choose the address, before you purchase it, make sure you search it on Google Maps and make sure that it comes up as an actual office building. The taller, the nicer, the prettier, the better, right? But we don't want a strip mall. We don't want a mailbox location. We don't want a post office. We don't want anything like that. When a lender searches for your business, we want it to come up as an office building. So make sure you check that before you purchase it. And I also have a code too that I'll give you that you guys can save $100 if you do Opus at sign up. So that'll just help you too. But make sure you do get an address, and you want to do that first before you actually file for everything, because then if you don't, you have to go back and switch everything with the state and stuff. So it's just easier to set it up from the beginning, correct? Now, you can totally build some business credit using your residential address. It's not going to deny you for like office supplies or printing supplies, things like that. It's going to start denying you when you get into the larger funding, the revolving credits and any loans and things like that. So, virtual office is an extra expense. If you're not in a position to do that right now, register with your home address, go back and change it later. Just know that you got to change everything when you do that. So it's just a kind of a little tedious extra step that you have to do. But, you know, I'm a firm believer in making sure that you guys get started when you can. And then, you know, you can always go back if you have to. But if you can start right, start with the address. The next thing you need to get is a business phone and a business fax, okay? It's crucial that you have not just a cell phone, but a business line. So if you get a wireless line, just make sure it's under your business name. That way, when lenders check your phone, it comes up under your business name and not your personal name. That will also deny you funding. As far as the fax number goes, even if you don't use it, you guys, just writing a fax number on an application helps increase your chances of getting approved. So that's why you need one. I know a lot of people don't use faxes these days,
Right.
but just having that number, being able to put it down helps you. The other thing is if you have an 800 number, that will help increase your credibility to lenders as well. Again, Opus will give you a phone and a fax with your address, and then you can add on an 800 number for like $10 if you want to. So, but there's also other places that you can get a business line from, Google Voice, Grasshopper, phone.com. I mean, there's a whole bunch of places if you just need a business number that will route them to your phone. Now, if you guys do set those up, make sure that you set the reception part, the greeting and everything up correctly. If it says something like, please wait while we reach this Google business owner, right? That's an automatic red flag to lenders and they'll deny you. So you want to make sure you turn that off and it just rings straight or it goes straight to a voicemail or something like that, okay? But you definitely want to get a phone and a fax. The next thing is a business email. No Gmails, Hotmails, Yahoos, AOL, all of that. You need to get an email that actually has your own domain. So for example, my company is CCR Enterprise. So my email is info@ccrenterprise.com. But that again will deny you funding at some point using those Gmail accounts. If you ever try to get a, well, they just recently got rid of Amazon, but before when you could get Amazon pay by invoice, they would always deny somebody that applied with a Gmail account or a Hotmail or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you set up your email correctly. Also, again, this just makes your brand look more credible to everybody out there, right? Gmail just keep for your personal, but you really want to invest to make your brand everything, and that includes technology and online presence. And so having your own domain will help you do that. The next thing is you want to get a website. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys have websites. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you're not working off of it. As far as for the purpose of business credit, you do not need this big elaborate websites. Lenders just want to be able to find your business, right? However, me as a business coach, I would speak to somebody specifically, right, in their industry, and I would tell you guys, please invest in your website because it's going to be how you make your money, right? Especially if you're taking online orders. So make sure that you invest in something that's going to help you, be effective, be efficient, right? That's automate things for you. I mean, a website really can run everything for you. So go ahead and invest in that. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of business credit, you just really need a one-page landing page that has your business name, your address that's going to be the same as everything we list, your contact information, phone, fax, email, right, and website, and that's it. It doesn't, and some services you provide. It doesn't have to be real big and elaborate.
Would an Etsy shop count as a website?
It would, but I would make sure that I have my own domain for it, so it doesn't have Etsy in the name, right? And the domain is pretty easy to get. GoDaddy, you can actually get the website, the domain, and the email all in one. I think it's like $30 a month. But it's really easy just to forward your traffic, that way. It's just a setting you have to put your domain name on there, but it's just a setting to do on your Etsy. But yeah, the Etsy website would be okay as long as it's got all of your information, contact information. Should I stop and are you making sure I'm not missing questions? Because I haven't been paying attention to comments.
I haven't seen any questions come through. We have 2 others that are online with us through the video. Then there's about 5 people that are watching from Facebook.
Gotcha.
And
I
then
just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
yeah, I'll definitely we'll pause you and let you know, or somebody has a question or whatever.
Okay. So after you get all of that information, you guys, then you're ready to actually establish your business. And that means registering your business with your Secretary of State. Now, you do not have to start, depending on what kind of business it is, you don't necessarily have to start it in the state that you live in, but it usually is best for you to do that. You can also file for different entity types. So there is an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation or company. There's an S corporation, a C corporation, and then of course a nonprofit. I typically recommend that people start out with LLCs until they reach a certain amount of revenue. And then at that point, that's when you're going to want to switch over to a corp. If you start out with a corp, you could end up paying more taxes than what you really should, as if you're just starting out with an LLC. So I usually always recommend that, but I also always recommend that people consult with a tax expert, right? As far as what's best for your situation. It may be better for you to start out with a C or an S corp. It also may be better for you to start out with an LLC and then just get taxed differently as a corporation or something. So check with them, but usually you're going to start out as an LLC. And the way you can do that is contacting your Secretary of State. Most of the time, all of them are online. There are still a few states that you have to actually fill out the paperwork and mail in, but most of them are online. Some of them are automatic. So for example, Virginia, you apply and you get your paperwork right then and there. You pay the fee and it processes it and it gives you your stuff. Other states, for example, like I believe Maryland, or Delaware definitely, but they actually have somebody that processes your application. So there may be a waiting time. So keep that in mind. Every state's going to be different. Fees for states are different as well. Yearly fees are going to be, and processes are different. Some states have yearly fees that you have to pay to keep your LLC in active standing. Some states you have to file a annual report every year. So it just totally depends on your state. Again, you can go to the Secretary of State website for whatever state you're in and look up business entities or starting a business, and it should walk you through, certain steps and the fees there as well. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is get a business license, depending on what kind of industry you're in. This is usually just on a local level. So city, county, things like that. It can be a state level. It just depends on your state. And not all businesses will require an actual business license. It just depends on your industry, but I always recommend that you get one if you need it. The next step is going to be to get your EIN, which is your employee identification number. This is the number that the IRS gives you for your business. It's your tax ID number. It's the number you use to file for your taxes. A lot of people will go and get this number and they never actually file for their LLC, but you don't technically have a business until you file for an LLC. So just keep that in mind. I have some clients that had an EIN, for 2 years, and then they came to me and we got them all set up correctly, right? And now when they go to lenders are looking they see the LLC date. That's what they check to see is how long your business has been open for, is they always go to that LLC date. So always make sure you do that. I always also want to encourage you that if you're not ready to do all these other steps, at the very least, file for your LLC or your corp or whatever you're going to file for, right? And just let it sit. Because when you are ready to start building business credit and do all these other things to get you going, your LLC will be older at that point, and that will help you as well. So even if like that's the only step you guys do for your business, file for it, get your LLC, make sure you have the paperwork with the state, keep that up, and then the rest of it you can just do, as you can. But the EIN number is a free number. You can do this on irs.gov. It's a really easy process. Ask you some questions about your business. You want to make sure that the same contact information that you put in to the state and that you filed with the state is the same contact information that you use with the IRS. You want to make sure that that matches across the board so that you can, that will help you, get funding. If there's any mix up, if there's any differences, that could deny you. So make sure you're using the same contact information. Also make sure you're filing for the correct EIN. So it's going to ask you what kind of company you have, an LLC, a corporation, whatever. You want to make sure you get an EIN for an LLC. You don't want to have an EIN that's linked to a corporation, but you really filed for an LLC with the state. Okay, so make sure that that's the same. And then the last thing I'll say about the EIN is that there is a site out there that looks exactly the same as the IRS website that is charging people for this number. So please do not pay for this number. It is a free number. If you go through it and it asks you to put your credit card information in, you're on the wrong site. Get out and go to the .gov site.
It is scary how close alike they look.
Yes. Yeah. It looks almost identical. Okay, the next step is to get a business bank account, okay? And this is also crucial for a lot of funding because a lot of lenders also look at this date as when you officially started your business, right? They want to see that you have business financials, that you didn't just start a business and you've got it all in your personal, that you've actually separated it and you have it, right? Even if you just open the business account and don't use it, put the $50 in there that costs to open it or however much, depending on the bank, and you just let it sit there, that's okay too. It's just like the LLC. You want that history, you want that banking history, you want that age. So just let it open it, at least open the account and let it sit there, even if you're not ready to use it. However, if you are doing business, I highly encourage you to make sure that you are separating your personal and your business expenses. It's going to make it a whole lot easier when you go to file taxes. And it just is better just to have it separated. You don't want to have that stuff mixed up. I typically recommend my clients to get 4 different accounts for their business. One of them is an income account. So it's a checking account that all we're going to do is put our income and our revenue in it. Everything goes into this account. Nothing goes out except for the transfer that we're going to use to pay our expenses. And we do that however you want to set it up. I do it monthly. You could do it weekly. You could do it bi-weekly, however you want to do it. But so for my example, that one time is the only time that money comes out of that account. And that's just for my lump sum for my expenses for the month. The next account we're going to have is our expenses account, and that's where we're going to have everything coming out of it. Nothing's going to go into this account except for that one deposit that we're going to put in to pay for our expenses for the month. Everything else is just expenses coming out. Then you have a savings account. Just like personal, you guys, you always want to have at least 6 months worth of savings for your business. You never know what can happen, right? And so you want to make sure that you can keep yourself afloat. So always make sure you're putting aside that. And that number really varies based on your industry, right? Somebody that runs a trucking business may have way more of a savings account than somebody that's, that's a nail salon or something like that, right? It just all depends on what your expenses are and what goals you have for your business. If you want to you know, if you're looking to get a storefront, then maybe you're putting a little bit more in your savings every week than you should be, you know, than you normally would. It just all depends on you. But definitely have a savings. And then the last account is your tax account. That's where you're going to put all your taxes into, so that whenever you pay, whether you do it quarterly or yearly, you'll have the money at that point to pay and you won't be stuck, you know, in any situation. So always recommend that you get those 4, but if you don't do the 4, at least get 1, like I said, to establish it in the business name and let it sit there with the LLC until you're ready to really start going. Now, keep in mind, depending on the bank, if you let it sit too long, they could close it. So you might want to use it here and there, right? Just something. And that, again, all depends on the bank. Some of them will let it sit longer than others, and some of them, you know, won't. The 3 more steps, you guys. So the next step is to list your business. We are in a online world now, right? And so when lenders go to approve your application, they're going to do 3 things. They're going to look for your company on the state website. They're going to make sure that your entity is active and in good standing. So your LLC or your corporation is showing active and in good standing. They're going to check and make sure that your EIN is set up correctly. And then they're just going to Google search your business. So you want to make sure that they can find something. And that's the purpose of having that website, right? Is so that they can find something on your business that matches the contact information that you've given them and that matches what's on the state website and the EIN website. So there's several different places that you can list for free. The 3 main ones that I recommend are Google Business, Yelp for Business, and listyourself.net, which will get you into the 411 directory. Those are pretty basic. If you can at least list yourself there, you're doing good. No, the more you list the more places you list your business, the better it's going to be for you all around, not just from a business perspective, I mean, funding perspective, but also from a business perspective of actually, you know, getting people to see your things, right? The more you list yourself, then the higher you get up on the search. When somebody searches t-shirts, yours comes up rather than somebody else's. So sometimes it's worth paying for that. If you guys have never heard of Fiverr, it's a good freelancing app to use if you need to, but you can pay somebody on there like anywhere from $5 to $50, and they'll list your business anywhere from 50 to 200 places. So it's a good option to invest in if you want to do it, you know, get your business out there more, but at least do those 3 free places that I would recommend. Then one more step. So the next step is to get your DUNS number. And what this is a number that you're going to get from Dun & Bradstreet. There are 3 credit bureaus with business credit: Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Commercial, and Equifax Commercial. Dun & Bradstreet is the largest one, and they do require you to actually register with them and get your own separate number. So this number you're going to use just like you use your EIN. It's going to ask, certain applications are going to ask for your EIN as well as your Dun & Bradstreet number. So you need to have this number to be able to start building a business credit profile. This is also a free number, okay? Dun & Bradstreet will try really hard to get you to buy a whole bunch of more products that you do not need, but you do not have to buy them to get the number. The number is free. So don't let them talk you into something you feel like you have to buy it in order to get a number. That is not the case. The number is free. You can register for the number for free online at D as in dog, N as in Nancy, B as in boy.com. So again, don't pay for that number unless you want to expedite it or you want these extra products. Now, these extra products can be beneficial depending on, you know, what you're trying to do. But I don't recommend that everybody just go out and start buying them, because they will definitely try to sell you stuff. Something to keep in mind with them is that they are also going to try to call you. Typically happens around a week after you've submitted your application. I've seen it as early as 3 days, but usually it's around the 5 to 7 day mark. And so they're going to call you and they're going to verify, they're going to try to sell you stuff, and they're also going to verify some stuff for your business. Make sure you answer that call. It almost always shows up as a spam likely call. So if you typically do not answer those calls, I would recommend you answer them during this time, because if not, then it can take up to 30 to 45 days for you to actually get that number, because they have to go through manual verification. And sometimes if it's not set up correctly, they will come back and not give you a number. So it's better if you can actually speak to somebody. So a lot of people don't know that they try to call, but they do that verification. So keep that, just make sure you answer those calls for that first week or so after you've applied. But you'll need to get that. And then finally, what I recommend you do, if you really want to start building business credit, is to get an account with NAV. And that is N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, V as in Victor. I call them Credit Karma for Business. They are a company that you can actually monitor all 3 of your reports for the business credit reports. The reason why I call them Credit Karma, though, is because if you don't know, Credit Karma on a personal side usually is way off with their recommendations and things like that. They actually are they just got sued for it recently. So NAV is the same way. They will frequently come up and say, oh, you qualify for this, but you really don't, you don't have any scores built, right? So just keep that in mind. But they are the most effective, cost-effective, and easiest way to monitor all 3 of your reports in one. You can get credit monitoring with each one of the bureaus, but they will only give you what they have. They will not give you all 3. So if you get Dave and Buster's, if you get Dun & Bradstreet's credit monitoring, they'll only show you the stuff that's reporting to them. They won't show you Equifax and Experience. So NAV is easiest place to see all 3 in one. So I do recommend that you get that as well. They have a free version as well as paid versions. I recommend you get the paid version. The free version is only going to show your credit score as a number, as a letter grade, and doesn't give you any of your account. Like, it doesn't tell you how many accounts are listed or anything like that. Once you upgrade, you'll actually be able to see your number score, credit score, as well as how many accounts are reporting each month. So it really helps you to be able to stay, help you build and things. It also reports as one of your business credit accounts every month. So it works out there too. Even though you're paying the monthly fee, it helps you out on another aspect as well. So those are all the steps that I recommend that you do to really set your business up structurally sound. It will help you set yourself up correctly for marketing. It will help you set yourself up correctly for funding, any kind of funding, whether it's vendor funding, you want to get credit cards, you want to get loans, you want to get a storefront, you want to get a grant, anything like that. Everybody is going to want to see your business set up with these items. So again, I don't encourage you to skip any of the steps. Like I said, some of them you can kind of wiggle your way around and go back if you need to. But at the very least, if you don't do any of the steps we talked about, at least go out and file for your LLC and let that sit so that it sets you up for success. And then when you're really ready to get the business going, you'll already be set and have it aged. Let me make sure covered. Oh, any questions about that before? I am going to talk about, I know, Erica, you had talked about, people had some questions about DBAs and running different businesses and stuff, but any questions on the foundation part stuff before I kind of go into that, and then I can talk about that a little bit as well.
I'm going to open it to the group. Does anybody have any questions for Courtney? Everyone is saying great information, amazing info. Hope you guys are taking notes here.
Yes, I talk fast too sometimes, so tell me to slow down if I need to.
Well, let's be
slow down, Courtney.
Okay.
No, for me, all the things that you mentioned, I mean, like, not all, because some stuff I didn't know, but like I had an organization already do like my LLC and all that.
Awesome.
for me. My thing is, like you said, the business address. I have a phone and I even have an email, but what you're saying is we need an email that goes straight to, not a Gmail, and that's where I need to fix or clean up or, and then websites and all stuff. I'm on Etsy now. I just got on there with Erica's help, but I'm still kind of iffy with it. I think that, yeah, you're giving some great information. There's a lot of stuff that, like I said, I have some of the starter things, but I just didn't know how to effectively incorporate or implement like the business accounts. I have a business account, however, it's from another business name. So
Right.
I kind of, this is like my third, but before I didn't have an LLC or anything. So this
Right.
business, the first time I had an LLC, because I got serious. So I was
Right.
like, well,
We've all been there. Trust me. I get
oh,
it.
I got
It's
serious.
like,
Let me get
my
serious.
first one I set up, it was awful. Like I did
Oh, I was
everything
just
wrong.
doing
So I
whatever.
get it.
I was like, oh, I got an LLC now. I really got to get real. I really got to have a business because I got an
Yep.
LLC now. So, good information, though. I'm just good information.
Great. Well, congratulations and great job on getting the LLC, because that's a big step. And I always encourage all of my followers to feel proud about that, right? Because not everybody can say they're a CEO. Not everybody can say that they have their own business. So I love to hear that.
Can you, Courtney, I don't know if it's maybe your next topic of discussion, but when you're talking about funding, I know that there's steps to achieve certain level of funds. I don't know if that was something that you were going to discuss or if you could maybe go over.
Yeah, so there are different kinds of funding. There is business credit, right, which you can get with just your EIN and not having to use your social. That's going to be a lot of like vendor credit stuff. So office supplies, printer supplies, t-shirts. There are some gas cards, business services, right? Things like that. There's a lot. Something else you guys should know is that things change all the time with business credit. Okay, all the time. And recently there's going through some changes, right? We usually, the way that I taught it is that you used to have tiers and you had accounts. They were like tier 1 accounts, and then you had tier 2 accounts. And then usually I would consider tier 3 corporate credit, which is going to be more of like your business bank cards. So like a business credit card from Chase or American Express or Bank of America or anything like that, right? Larger loan fundings, things like that. Corporate credit is always going to require them to at least look at your personal score. It doesn't matter. It's all regardless, right? Some lenders, depending on who it is and what your relationship with them is, maybe they don't do a hard pull, but they're going to want to at least look at it. And that has to do with the type of funding as well as the law that states that any bank has to pull your personal, they have to verify you, right? So they do that through a soft pull. So just keep that in mind, regardless of whatever kind of funding. If you want like a business credit card from like Chase or Bank of America or American Express, or you want to get a commercial real estate loan or anything like that, those are always going to require them to look at your personal score. The business credit part, like I said, used to be broken down by tier 1 and tier 2. And you could still do a lot of tier 2 accounts without using PG, which is personal guarantee, meaning you give them your social to check as well. Unfortunately, there are a lot of tier 2 accounts that recently, as of the first of the year, have started changing. So like Home Depot, you used to be able to do no PG, they're PG now. Best Buy's PG now. Amazon has gotten rid of all of their accounts now, and all they have is their business credit card that's through American Express. And unfortunately, that happens with a lot of people using business credit, not paying it back, right? And they change the rules and regulations frequently. So this is a change that we're just recently seeing. So really now what I'm breaking the business credit into is net 30 and net 60 vendors. You have people that will allow you to do net 30 terms, meaning you'll have 30 days to pay that invoice off. You want to usually build with those vendors first before you go to the net 60. Those are the vendors that are going to give you 60 days to pay. And then after that, most of everything else is going to require them to look at your social regardless. So yes, there is a way that you need to build correctly between, through the different, the vendors. You want to start with the smaller ones, get a good, few of them reporting before you actually move to the bigger ones, because you want to show them basically that, once you get to the bigger ones, they want to be able to see that you were able to handle the tier before you, right? If you have good personal credit, you can absolutely go ahead and get a business credit card, PG something, right? And start building it that way. The only benefit to that is that you are able to use it for more things, right? The business credit is really limited sometimes because it's specific for certain things, right? So you might have $3,000 worth of business credit with a vendor, but you can only get office supplies from them, right? You can't use it to pay your bills or something like that. So, the business credit cards are going to help you be more fluent, not fluent, fluidity, I guess, fluid, I guess. They're going to help you be able to use them more, right, for different things. But you also want to do, it will help you to show that business credit history. If you have to work on your personal a little bit, usually what I recommend is that you use that time to build through the net 30 and the next 60 vendors to work on your personal credit. That way, by the time you get to that tier, you're good to go. You not only have a good solid business credit profile set up, but you also have, a good personal score as well. So yes, there are different vendors for different things. There's all kinds of funding out there, you guys, like literally funding for anything you want. And it can be specific. I also do encourage you to look at grants. There are a lot of local grants that people don't know about, and there's money just sitting there, especially if you live in Texas. Check Texas. They have a whole bunch of stuff, but it could be a matter of the city or, the small town you live in just got some money to do some improvements, right? And your store is investing in the community, right? I mean, anything like that. There's so much free money out there. A lot of people will go after toward like the bigger grants, like the Hello Alice and stuff. Just keep in mind that you're one in thousands of people that are applying for that one grant, right? So it's going to make it a whole lot harder for you to get approved for that one than it is maybe for the county one that's down in your city government down the street. And a lot of people, again, just don't think that way. They always go to the big stuff that they see, right? That they see people advertising, but there's so much other funding out there that you can check for.
Yeah, and I think this is also really important too, because, down the line, as you're building your fund capability, to be able to get loans and stuff, this is how you see and hear about people, using their business credit to purchase a car,
Correct.
so, and that's all within, being able to claim it on your taxes and so forth. But there's just tons of benefit to making sure that you set up your company correctly so that you can access as much as you can.
Right. And vehicle funding, as of right now, you still can get with without using your social. You need to have a strong business foundation. So you need to have all the steps we talked about set up. And then you also need to have a good, solid business credit profile built already. They want to see that you've already been paying bills in your business name. Sometimes, depending on how much business credit you have built up, they'll want to see that you have 2 years on your LLC. But I have also seen people get approved like at a year. They just have a whole bunch more vendors, right? They went out there and they just got they used it. That's the other thing too, myth that I hear people say with business credit is that they can just open accounts and not use them and it'll help them build. And that's not how it works. Payment history is the #1 factor that establishes your credit score. And you can't do that if you don't show any payment activity. So you have to be using your stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to order a whole bunch of products that you don't need from vendors, right? There's different places that you can find that will, report your business credit. There's also a place called eCredible that will actually report things that don't report to business credit. So you could link like, if you have a vendor that doesn't typically report to business credit, you could link them through them and they could report. So, but yeah, you can definitely get cars, without using your personal and just putting in your business, which I recommend you do anyway,
Right.
so that it separates it. But any larger funding than that, you can get store leases and apartment leases without, using your social as well. Any kind of corporate real estate usually is probably going to require them to look at your personal, like if you're buying it or to get a commercial loan. But as far as leasing, you can do that as well, just in your EIN. So yes, it definitely opens it up, if you have it set up correctly. And it opens it up for you to be, if there is any funding out there, right, you're eligible for it. You can't get it if you don't have your business set up correctly.
So we had a question in the group. Miss Lee wanted to know, can you apply for more than one local grant at a time?
So I actually have a grant specialist, right? I know basic stuff enough to kind of guide my clients, but that probably usually would depend on the local. I mean, whoever's given the grant, right? As long as there's not anything that says you can't, apply for that, then you should be able to. But I would definitely reach out to a grant specialist. And I could probably see if she can come on, Erica, and help too, if you want to talk more about grants. But typically when we're talking about grants, they're going to give you set items, right, that you have to meet. So they would tell you it would probably say something like a business wouldn't be able to have funding from this organization in the past 12 months, right? So if you've already gotten local funding in the past 12 months, then maybe your county doesn't let you do it. But otherwise, if it doesn't say that, then yeah, you should be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, guys? None in the group, and none on live. So, okay. Did you have other topics that you were gonna cover? 'Cause I know.
Yes, so let's talk real quick and then I will give it back to you. But I know you had talked about people questioning different businesses, right? And so there is a way that you can run different businesses under one LLC. It's called a DBA, and it's doing business as. This is usually when you have similar. So let me back up. What I would recommend is that you only use a DBA if you have the businesses that are similar in nature. So let's talk about this. And the reason for that is because you cannot claim expenses from a DBA. You can only claim expenses for an LLC. So if you have an LLC and then you're running a business as a DBA, all of your expenses are going to have to be claimed under your LLC. So that's why I recommend that it's the same similar business. So for example, if you guys had a t-shirt business, right? And you had an LLC for a t-shirt business, and then you wanted to open up a business that was printing signs, right? The overhead and stuff is pretty similar for those two businesses. So I would say, okay, it would be okay for you to open up the DBA and claim your expenses under the LLC. If you were doing a t-shirt business and then wanted to do real estate, then that's totally different.
I do.
Right? Because you can't.
I do that.
Right. But as far as, you can't claim your real estate, or it would be less of them, right, that you could claim for your, it wouldn't be the same expenses for your t-shirt. Now you can run an LLC under an LLC and then be able to expense them, different like that. But if you're going to do that, you might as well just start two different LLCs. Usually people want to start the umbrella thing. I recommend that they get into trust and they do a little bit more research on opening trust up. That's really how you want to set it up as far as the umbrella goes. And then you can put everything under the trust. But that's really why people do the umbrella, right? Why they start one and they put them under is really to house them, for liability purposes. And the way to really do that correctly is through a trust. I would only use the DBA situation if it was like what we just talked about and it was similar in nature, right? You have like a restaurant and you want to open up a bakery, right? Something like that makes sense to me. Otherwise, DBAs don't make sense to me. I would just do new LLCs for all of the different companies.
Um, yeah, I might be contacting you about getting help on doing building a trust. That's been something that's been on my mind. And just I know I want that protection even for my kids, you know, just the family and
Yep.
not just my business side or just my personal side, but something that I can also leave to them, you know.
Right. Right. Yep, definitely we can help you get started on that. I definitely recommend it, especially when you start getting into multiple businesses, right? It just kind of helps keep everything together as well as other people's hands out of it, you know?
Right.
So it's a good thing to have.
Okay. See, any questions about DBAs and having multiple LLCs? I don't see any.
So I will tell you guys, I have a class going on that I'd be happy for you guys to jump in. I'm literally teaching people how to start, grow, and fund a business, right? We're going to talk about everything from your structure to how to market to growth plans, I mean, everything. So we meet weekly for 12 weeks. I'll send some information to that. And then I'll make sure that, Erica, you've got my email and stuff as well. If anybody needs some one-on-one help, happy to jump on a call with somebody, just send me your info and we can talk a little bit.
And then share your group, because that's actually how I found you, is because I was in the process of building my EIN. And you guys, make sure you guys join her Facebook group. There is a ton of great information about, just starting your business and structuring, funding. There's a lot of great mentors that are and experts in the group as well. So let them know what your group is.
Yep, I will. It's building a business credit, parentheses, EIN only, parentheses. But I will make sure you have the link for that too. But yes, love to have you. Make sure that when you do request for the Facebook group, though, you answer all the questions, because the auto bot will push you out if you don't. So, I know some people don't like to answer the group questions, so make sure you answer those. But yes, love to have you. It's got tons of free information in there. And like Erica said, tons of different, we've got business wireless people in there. We've got website people in there. We've got payment processors. We've got lenders. We've got we've got all kinds of people for business related things. So definitely come network with us.
Yeah, and they definitely share their expertise, knowledge. These are people who've been in their field for quite a long time, and they're there just sharing that expertise within the group, of how to elevate your business.
Right.
We did have a
Yeah,
question.
we're all on the same, we just have the same mindset, right? When that I try to keep the people that are in that group with that same mindset, is that we all have businesses, right? We all make money, but we're also all about helping people. This, again, is not information that they share. And so I'm a big believer in karma, and I feel like what you put out there, you get back, so there, like she said, there's some great free information in there, all the steps you need to do the foundation, and then just other good information to kind of help you navigate the business credit world.
We had a question from Lisa asking, can you have different LLCs with one EIN number?
No, you can have multiple EINs with one LLC, but you can only have one LLC for an EIN.
Can you elaborate that? Having multiple EINs, what would be a case of having multiple EINs for LLC?
Really, the only reason why you would do that is as you started to grow. So I've seen certain businesses, once they get national, right, which really would be on a corporate, but there are some small businesses that still function on a national level as an LLC. But they might want to have a different EIN number for like a different region, right? But other than that, there wouldn't be a situation where you would really need to have two. Now, there has been situations where maybe you've lost your first one, so you just get another one. And if that's the case, it's okay, because you can have more than one. But as far as like a specific reason why people would do it, it usually is in situations like that where you want to just separate different sections of your company.
Right. Okay. So any other questions?
Great question, though.
Yeah, something I learned today. Very helpful information. Any other questions, either on live, or please unmute yourself if you have a question in the live chat, and then any questions from the Facebook groups. Okay, nothing seems to pop up. I'll share with the group, once I get all Miss Courtney's information, I'll have her, give us her links again and her contact information. Like I said, join her group. It's like, it's very, utilize the information that you get in that group. There's tons. And especially if you are, just saying to yourself, hey, I'm only doing this, for friends and family, but you never know, and you might as well have the LLC, like Miss Courtney said, to just build it from day one. And then if you don't actually become a business, you stay as a hobbyist for 3 years, at least your LLC has aged that long,
Right.
Which is to your benefit,
Right. Yep. Yep. It definitely puts you, by the time I learned that with my first business, right, I was thinking, man, I should have done that before I even started the boutique, but again, they don't teach us this stuff. So that definitely is a step, because I get that a lot, right? And timing is everything for business too. I don't encourage people to go out there and start businesses that you're not ready to run, because it takes work to run a business, right? The ultimate goal is to get it automated and be as efficient as possible, but you still have some stuff to do. So sometimes it's timing, you're not ready to do that. It's also a cost thing, right? It does cost money to start a business. It also costs money to run it, right? So I make sure that you're set up for that. But the best thing you can do to put yourself in a good funding situation or situation for your business to give it that credibility is to start the LLC and let it sit until you're really ready to get started.
Any other questions? Did you have any other topics?
No, I'm happy to come back on. I know you had talked about maybe wanting some marketing information, so I'm happy to come back on and give some tips for that.
You guys want her back here? She's going to cover marketing with you guys. And we're all saying yes.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, we can set that up. Happy to come back on and talk about that. And then, like I say, come join the group. If there, I guarantee you any question you have has already been talked about in that group. So come on over, get it. And then if there's anything left that you still want to talk about, I'm always happy to jump on and chat with you guys.
Yep. Well, there you guys have it. Miss Courtney, thank you so much. This is like a huge ball of information. I'm sure everyone is absorbing.
Yes.
And
I do kind of throw it at you guys, so hopefully it wasn't too much, but I want to make sure that you have as much as you can to succeed. And so I'm so excited to be here. I'm so thankful that you invited me, Erica. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, ma'am. And we're happy to have you back. Again, we'll have you cover some marketing tips. I know that's like on top of everyone's list. Is learning, how do I get my company out there? How do I get visibility? How do I get up to the, ranking up to the Googles? Some people hear about SEOs, but don't know anything about SEOs or how it helps you and keywords and stuff like that. It's really little things that you can add to your website you know, that will gain you visibility and traction to it.
Yeah,
So we would definitely love, and I will definitely set a time with you for you to come back and do that.
perfect. Sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night. It was nice meeting y'all.
Thank you guys for joining. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.